The time is now for Oba Femi. Very interesting timing for me to say this because, of course, John Cena is retiring in a few hours. So probably nobody will watch this video. That's what usually happens when we have a SmackDown before a big PLE pay-per-view or a big show. But last night, even though I thought it was a very middle-of-the-road SmackDown, there were three very important things that WWE did. And while I don't think they're going to capitalize on this on the way that I would want them to, which, of course, is their choice, I feel like SmackDown has been needing of something, an injection of something, a fire lit under its took us for a while now. And I think they did it, even if it was by accident last night, because of the John Cena stuff that we are doing. But we got to bring some people up from NXT. We got to freshen up the show. We got to start taking some risks and just making things feel totally different, especially given that come January, as it was confirmed last night, SmackDown is going to 3 hours. We're going to get into that today. And yes, I will be back tomorrow to talk about John Cena's retirement tour, whenever the hell you do watch this. But otherwise, my friends, make sure you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. I'd massively appreciate that. Let's get into the mad stuff on SmackDown. Because the three names that I thought stood out the most in this show were Oba Femi, Javon Evans, and Lash Legend. Now, I think Lash Legend's been called out properly because, of course, she was introduced before the War Games. We should have done this Alexa Bliss match before the War Games. I thought it was very good. But let's go in chronological order. Cody Rhodes comes out and it's like, Drew McIntyre, how dare you say you think you work in an unsafe working environment, which is the stupidest sentence I've ever said. This has no weight to it whatsoever. All you'd have to do is go to court and say he tried to kill me in my bus. Someone would go, it's a very, very good point. You're all totally nuts there down at World Wrestling Entertainment. Still annoys me. Doesn't roll off the tongue as well as World Wrestling Federation. Even though the change happened 23 years ago, I think we need to get over it. But Oba Femi interrupts and quite rightfully says, don't you worry about Drew right now. You worry about me. This was not a out of nowhere promo. It wasn't a different promo. It wasn't a promo that's going to totally change your world. It was just exactly the promo that it needed to be. And it's just the delivery and the way that Oba carries himself and his weird walk to the ring, which is the greatest thing ever, and the host that people do in between the pauses. If you want the what chance to die, this is the guy that can do it. And some people go, when is that going to happen? Because you never know. Wrestling is this mad party tricks of nonsense. I just think he's got it. He's wonderful. Every now and then, we did a whole video about this a couple of months ago. Every now and then, someone comes along, you're like, that's my guy. Rusev was my guy. He still is. When he first came along, I was like, I don't know why I like this guy, but I like this guy. I think there's a certain generation who felt that way about Jeff Hardy. Then, of course, he started jumping off stuff, and he was the coolest guy ever. But there will be a bunch of people that you'll never be able to explain to somebody else. I mean, people like Oba Femi, I think, actually bring a lot of people in. So it's not like it's a niche or anything like that, but it's still the same kind of feeling. Why do you like Oba Femi? I don't know. I just think he's the coolest person I've ever seen in my life. And it was just the way that he held himself. He wasn't fazed by this. He was talking to, out of courtesy to that one crazy guy, one of the faces of the company, arguably the face of the company, because Cody Rhodes does more dates than Roman Reigns, but more power to Roman Reigns. That Street Fighter trailer, by the way, wonderful. Can't wait. Totally nuts. But he stood there, didn't feel out of place, answered everything he had to answer. He was the guy that stopped Cody Rhodes to hold his belt up, which is always a strange thing that professional wrestlers do. Dropped in a John Cena line, you know, your time is over, my time is now. Called himself the Conqueror, called himself the Future. And now, given he's the NXT champion, he's probably going to go back to NXT. I just think that's a massive mistake. Like, what are we waiting to do here? If we would put him in this position, he totally floundered. You're like, okay, great. You got some experience. It didn't really work out. Thankfully, we do have this third brand, which is totally there to develop you into the WWE superstar we want you to be. I didn't see any of that. And he has the size too. As a criticism we talked about the other day. It's a mad criticism and people are crazy. I don't know why I said that like an Italian. It's a mad criticism. But some people say, yeah, but when he's on the main roster, he'll be the same size as everybody else. That's not a bad thing. It's great that he's the monster in NXT, but it just means you can portray him differently when he gets to Raw or SmackDown. And listen, he looked massive compared to Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes is flicking champion, and I would believe Cody Rhodes against anybody, so you're doubly going to believe Oba Femi if you still want to tie into the aesthetic of professional wrestling. And of course, it is a major big deal. I just think he's awesome. Out of all the people that are up and coming, if we want to use those terms, he's my number one pick. If you were asking me to make crazy bets or crazy predictions, or you allowed me to book the show, which would be a terrible idea, I'd have him in the main event of WrestleMania in a few years. I've had him as the champion. I'd have him hold that belt for Roman Reigns levels of times. I would turn him into his own word, the Conqueror. Who can take me down? Nobody. And people try, and it's just fail, 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 until eventually somebody else comes along. We're like, that's the guy, and we start all this over again. That's how high I am on him. And like I say, some people now go watch this promo and go, I don't get it. I understand that. We've seen it before, but it's all it needed to be. I didn't need anything else than this because, again, he hasn't even been called up properly. So you don't want to give everything away. Just such a huge fan of the man. I really, really am. I think he's awesome. And he was somebody that walked into that performance center. Instantly, I was like, I want to watch what you're going to do because he's different and he's unique. I would call him up tomorrow. I really would. He doesn't need to have a feud with Cody Rhodes. And I am baffled to know what we're going to do in this Cody Rhodes Oba Femi match in a good way. It lent so heavily into Drew not being here. I presume he will get involved. And of course, we've seen it time and time again. You can either do that so that Oba Femi gets the victory and Cody Rhodes is like, I got screwed, which, we've done in the past and it has helped. That's how Mankind won the World Championship, basically, with The Rock and Steve Austin, the DX and the McMahons, etc., etc. I don't know why I pulled that one out my rectum. But it can go the other way as well, where due to Drew's shenanigans, somehow Cody takes advantage of that, and that pisses off Cody Rhodes, almost like what we did with Ilya Dragunov a week ago on SmackDown. I think Oba Femi should win. I also understand the argument not to do it. It all depends how Oba Femi feels when we are done, because wins and losses are super important, as we do see in some matches. But if you watch it and everybody in unison goes, oh my gosh, we think Oba Femi's even better than he was beforehand, then we've done our job. That should be the job of this match. And all the matches on the NXT John Cena Saturday Night's Main Event card. Again, I did my predictions on Wednesday, so please do go watch that video now. The MO should just be, how do we get them to feel like bigger superstars? And how do we get them ready to connect with our main roster audience? Oba Femi already was. Sometimes I think people get up and maybe they're not overly familiar. Everybody was doing the Oba Femi chants, like I say. You can probably work out that I like him a lot. This was really good. He felt like a main event deal. He went toe-to-toe with Cody Rhodes. Brilliant. And then Javon Evans beat The Miz. Now, this match amazingly did have jeopardy because I was like, well, I can see The Miz winning here because he is The Miz and he's always been treated a certain way. Still think he's massively underrated, The Miz. I think the first time you took a bump, if somebody offered you Mike Mizanin's career, you'd snap their hand off. But that'd be the most amazing thing ever. And he's nowhere near done. But because he has been able to carry himself for this 25-year run or whatever the flub it was, arguably longer than Cena. Is that correct? No, he's like 2006, so a few years after him. But Javon Evans beating him, even though Miz does lose a lot, it felt like a big deal to me because it almost felt much like we did with Oba in the first segment that we were anointing the guy. Now, he's just got into a feud with Ricky Saints on NXT, so I don't think he had been called up, but he had the Sami Zayn match, he had a match against somebody else I've now forgotten, or Ilya Dragunov, and now he's had this. He doesn't look out of place, and he did exactly the same thing that Oba done. He freshened up the show, not just because he's a new star, but because he fit in so effortlessly. And all of a sudden, I was like, he should win that US Championship. Maybe you can put him in a tag team for a while. You can put him in feuds against people like The Miz, so he can work on his promo skills. It's just so much fun to watch. And if WWE is going to extend SmackDown to 3 hours in January, which they are, I want somebody, when they come out every single time, you're like, oh boy, here we go, bouncy, bouncy. It's like what we do with Ilya. He had his match with Tommaso Ciampa, and that was well, fun may not be the right word, but it was compelling to watch because they kick each other's ass so badly. And Ilya gets the win after DIY try and do shenanigans and totally fail. Javon, in many ways, he can do that, as we saw, but he is more flippy-dippy doodah. And it's not just the fact that he can flip around, because I'm not saying that's what modern wrestling should be. He has something else to him, which is exactly the same. Copy and paste it from Oba Femi. You watch him and you like him and you want him to do well, which makes him a great babyface. And the counterpoint is always, oh, but he's so young. I don't care about age in wrestling. I just don't. We talked about that on a video the other day as well. I don't care that Punk is 48 years old. I don't care that Damian Priest is in his 40s, that LA Knight is in his 40s, that Cody Rhodes is in his 40s, that Roman Reigns is in his 40s. I'm not going to sit there with my statistical sheet and go, well, I can't possibly like this because they've crossed a certain threshold. It's like when people go, well, I told you the episode of Dynamite wasn't very good because it did bad in the ratings. Nobody knew what it was going to do in the ratings when they were watching it. And if you wait until you see numbers, until you decide that, I don't mean to be horrible, but you've got a problem. So as long as I'm enjoying a CM Punk promo, or as long as I'm enjoying a Javon Evans match, just put him in the best position for him, and I don't understand what else he can possibly do on NXT. It's still great for him down there, because NXT is a wonderful show. You ever watched that thing? It's batshit crazy in the best possible way. But SmackDown is about to have 60 minutes added to it. It needs something else anyway. Like, it's a perfectly fine, acceptable professional wrestling show, but we've seen from 2022, 2023, and 2024 that WWE can elevate that, and I think some weeks Raw does it as well. So we should just be putting what's the word I'm looking for? But we have certain building blocks that are already available to us. Why wouldn't you stick it in the Jenga stand, which is not how Jenga works, so it's a terrible analogy. But when he hit that OG cutter and got the 1, 2, 3, the fans went crazy. They're super behind him. They've accepted him in any way. It's just a barrel of laughs. And I was like, I cannot imagine him not being on SmackDown every week now. And he's been able to achieve that with random sporadic appearances over the last 5, 6, maybe even 8 weeks. And SmackDown needs it too. If SmackDown was super packed, the main event of Raw right now is so packed, how do you squeeze anybody in? So maybe if you thought about calling Oba Femi up to Raw, you go, I don't think now is the right time. I totally get it. SmackDown is a different kettle of fish. I think it has been very hit and miss in 2025. Some episodes, I made videos, I think have been noticeably bad. We get over it pretty quick, so I think you have to remind yourself that we have 52 weeks of wrestling a year, and you can't expect every single one to be a home run. No, I'm not going to do it. Watch Ups and Downs if you want my stupid quip about what somebody may have said about me. More power to him. I'm fair game, and you can take as many shots as you like. I would just strike now, right? It's why I want to see Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk so much, because wrestling terrifies me. You never know what is going to go around the corner. But Javon Evans has hit a home run every single time he's been put up to the plate. The match later on, which you may have already seen by the time you watch this video, with him and Leon against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, I think is going to be generational, which is hyperbole up the wim-wham, but I've said it now, I'm going to stick with it. I don't think they'll win. I think that's why WW gave him the win here, but that's a massive thumbs up. You're thinking forward, which I always do appreciate, and yeah, just one last salute to The Miz for doing it. I hope somebody changes their mind, or John Cena maybe gets in somebody's ear, although I don't think he's going to do that. Just let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. The Oba Femi into this was just the highlight of the show, apart from the third one, which was Lash Legend doing the exact same thing. Now, I still don't understand why Lash Legend and Nia Jax are friends, other than, well, we'd like to actually cement this women's division, tag team division. I'm not going to get mad at that. You know I love that thing. And anytime, as they're proving again now, you do move people into it, it's just so much fun to watch because they do have a depth of talent. It's just at the moment, the SmackDown women's division is all over the place. I'll talk about Jade Cargill in 1 second. But her absolutely whipping Alexa Bliss, who is a veteran, who is like a 5-time champion, who is teaming with Charlotte Flair, who is also considered a tippity-toppity star. Brilliant. And she looked great. And she's got a finishing move called the Lash Extension. It's the greatest thing ever. That lariat she gave her that's called the Last Minute. Is that right, maybe? Oh my gosh, Alexa Bliss bumping her ass off. I wouldn't call it a squash match because Alexa got a few things in there. But Lash wasn't really under duress for much of this, and she was throwing Bliss into Timmy the Timekeeper's table. And sure, we had some distractions. Nia Jax just tripped Alexa Bliss, so Charlotte Flair super kicked her, and Lash booted Charlotte so hard in the face, then hit her finisher 1, 2, 3. But it's the same kind of a deal. It kind of felt like to me that more people are aware of Oba than they are of Lash Legend. And yes, I don't think that we really got into it as quickly as we should after she was brought up. It did feel very much like, well, we need someone extra for War Games. Lash Legend, you're good to go. But now you're seeing that she is good to go. She has come so far over the last 2 years, which is exciting too. It's another reason why I love watching NXT, because you can see that when they're super green, then they get whatever in the middle is, and then whatever someone is ready to go is. I don't know what the colour is. We have a colour for rookie, but we don't have a colour for like, oh, you're established star. But she'll eventually turn on Nia Jax, and I think they'll have a good match as well, because nobody does Nia Jax like Nia Jax. But once again, because we did something that felt different, because I'm overly familiar with Lash on NXT, but even in a different blue surrounding, it does feel different. I don't know why you wouldn't continue on with this. Like, I understand some stars went on this show, but I still think, well, I'm going to have to repeat what I just said. Even over the 2 hours, sometimes I feel like it is a little bit lacking. But with a third hour, good grief, you've got to fill it with something. And these people have all shown you they've got what it takes. So, huge fan of Lash Legend. I think she's taken this to like a duck to water. Give her more promo time. Allow her to sell her character. Do whatever you got to do between her and Nia to get that cooking as well. As a sidebar, Charlotte Flair is just, whoever decided, I've said this on a few videos today, to just let Charlotte Flair be Charlotte Flair, that's a couple of thumbs. And that's the era I think we're living in right now. Scripted promos are fun and over-the-top promos are fun. But if you can cut a genuine, transparent, honest promo, I think everybody should be doing that right now, because it just completely changed the way people see you. And I hope she doesn't go heel on anybody, because she's found something with this and we should carry it on. And her relationship with Alexa Bliss is super good. Even if you are going to split them up, do a Ryback, Curtis Axel thing. We just shake hands and go, man, I want to go after other things. But again, I've kind of overhyped a lot of this, because you can just watch it and go, well, it was a perfect, serviceable match. I'm talking about what it could do for the future. It's all there. A huge reason for that is because I thought we were going to get Jade Cargill versus B-Fair, but I mean, Meechin did make sense. Jade Cargill beats her up, Meechin comes out, she gets beaten up again, and we never stared down with Rhea Ripley beforehand, which got me pumped. I think we should get to that match in 2026. And I like Jade doing this, but she just doesn't have a feud, and she's been the champion now since Crown Jewel, was it? I can't remember, but for a good couple of months, and we haven't seen Tiffany Stratton since. Well, that's a good thing, so I don't think you want to go back into that feud. But why wasn't B-Fab on the show? She's always with Meechin. This is the one time she doesn't come out to help. Meechin now can't really have a match. That was the match, right? She just didn't get the 1, 2, 3. Which begs the question, why didn't we have... I guess WWE went, we like Meechin, as you should. She's really talented, but we don't want to squash her. But if at the moment the goal is to make Jade Cargill a badass, which we are doing a successful job with, she should just get the win over them, and then she should beat B-Fab as well. We just need a bit more concrete to it all. It needs more structure. And outside of this, there is nobody else. Now, that doesn't mean going to take the tag team people and put them in this. It's to say we have all these women that could come up, and then you can start shuffling the deck around. I don't mind if Rhea gets back into the singles division, or Io Scar, Asuka, or Kairi Sane in a few months when you've told those stories, but that's when you want to bring up your JC Janes and whoever else is down there right now, Kalani Jordan maybe, they can then come up as tag teams. I mean, it's a bit redundant, but you know what I mean? Just make sure the spaces are being filled so we can have a great women's tag division and a great women's singles division. And Jade absolutely is playing into her strengths right now. The heel turn has done her a world of good, and I think she's doing a great job with it. But you have to have things around it in order to support it. At the moment, it's not really going anywhere, which is why it's good to have people like Lash Legend on this show. So that part, not so hot, and yeah, hopefully the extra hour, even though I'm not a fan of it, will allow us to tell more of that, then it'll be better. It also comes down to feuds. Like, we had the Wyatts and the MFTs finally have their big promo off, and it was fun. Big fan of Solo, and seeing the Wyatts actually cut sort of saying things, even though they speak spooky wookie language, is good. But between that and the Aleister Black and Damian Priest feud, we're kind of getting to the end of them, or at least into the crutch of them, and you're like, well, who is benefiting here? I don't know what the answer is. Like, the main event, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest taking on Vega, Zelina Vega and Aleister Black, it was good. Like, it was a bit wibbly-wobbly, some things went wrong. There was a terrifying moment when Zelina Vega went to reverse the Riptide, and I don't know what happened. Like, they both spiked themselves on their head, so more important than anything, I hope they're okay. But I think the caveat here has to be, and I could be wrong, I always try and do my reading and my research, I think Zelina Vega had a tragedy in her family this week. Somebody passed away. That's going to affect you mentally. I mean, more power to her for going to work. That's a huge salute right there. But of course, these things affect you even if it's not on the surface, so I think you have to bring that into it. If we do move the real world stuff to one side, which you should never do really, because the person behind Zelina Vega is way more important than the character, it just meant this match was fun because Rhea and Damian Priest together are awesome, and obviously Zelina Vega and Aleister Black have a great, what are we calling it, new partnership couple. I mean, they're married in real life, but I don't know what else you can do with Black and Priest. And once again, is anyone standing ever taller? It's been going on for 5 months. And we had Fire a few weeks ago. So it's just a bit funny. So it kind of felt like we got here just where we could team the Terror Twins back together, which I like because the fans loved it. And seeing Rhea Ripley get the wins, she's just a superstar. People are over the moon. But it kind of feels like to me you get to next week's show and then there's not really much follow-up. And if there is, and you're going to do one big final match, so we've already done the big street fight again where we had flames. So it's just all a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Peculiar. If I dip into my vocab in my brain, because I wouldn't call it bad. Some people say SmackDown's the worst show ever. I think it's better than it was, but a lot of the stuff just doesn't really feel like it matters to the level you want it to. That's fine here and there, but I kind of think they fall into week-to-week patterns where they are doing this a lot. So it's difficult, because that sounds like I'm ragging on the main event, which I'm totally not. It was a serviceable match, apart from a few really scary points. And also, what has the Black and Zelina Vega do after this? And Damian Priest is not going to remain connected to Rhea Ripley. I mean, Damian Priest ultimately is not as hot at the end of 2025 as he is at the start of 2025. I would like to get back to when he was at that level, because I think he proved he added a lot to the show. And again, SmackDown is kind of empty of a few things at the moment. So it's a strange one. And I would love to hear what you think about it in the comments, because I can watch it and I can feel okay with it. But then when it's done, and I'm very blessed to sit down and get to talk about it here, I'm like, I don't really know what I thought about that. Maybe I have zero opinions, which is also not good, I will go with. So yes, you don't need to see this episode of SmackDown, and maybe WWE knew, right? They're not idiots. If we know, they know. Given that everyone is going to be talking about John Cena's retirement for a good week, maybe this was one of those episodes you just throw out there and you do move on. It was nice we had the John Cena thread running through it, a lot of tributes and stuff. But yes, I can't imagine we're ever going to talk about it again. But I do think there's a cast of characters there, both old and new, that could be just used with better. So if I have to have egg on my face and I'm totally wrong about the 3-hour thing, then man, give me it sunny side up. Now, as always, more importantly, I want to know what you thought about SmackDown, because there may have been something I missed, something I got wrong. You can correct me so I can educate myself. Please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Video on the screen is my Saturday night's main event predictions, which are only good for the next few hours, but I'll keep it up there anyway. Patreon.com/Simon316 for watch-alongs. We just did Cody versus Roman for WrestleMania 40 goes up today. We did my match from a couple of weeks ago, and I busted open my eye. And we did John Cena versus JBL. We want to talk about blood. So please do check those out. GorillaMind.com/Simon if you are into your fitness supplements. 10% off if you use code Simon. These are the best ones as far as I'm concerned. Simon316 on social media, and then Cameo and TikTok and Pro Wrestling Tees. Thank you to everyone that's booked cameos recently and doing a lot of Christmas and sort of New Year ones, which just makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, because I think it's an honor to be involved with those kind of things. So I'll be on there as well. They're super cheap at the moment because they're doing an end-of-year sale, like $10 or something. So please do come get one. Otherwise, enjoy John Cena's retirement. The next time we do a video, which will be tomorrow, he will be retired, which is kind of crazy, because ever since I started doing this content, he's always been around. Because he's John flipping Cena. It's the end of an era. Goodbye.